4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Gilles down the inside. Gilles moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower.
Break. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been loved and a terrific show out.
I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to another 2 rounds of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We're here from the wonderful Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, for what is possibly going to be one of the most exciting rounds of the championship, or at least most exciting race meetings of the championship. This circuit is going to provide a massive challenge for the drivers. Often goes underestimated and underappreciated, this place, so we're all really excited to see how everyone gets on. My name is Chaz Draycott, of course, and delighted to have alongside me once again my partner in crime, Ed May. Ed, we've both been looking forward to this one since we saw the calendar, haven't we? It's going to be an absolute corker, this.
It really is. Montreal, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, such a demanding and technical track. It demands a lot of the drivers and also will demand probably a lot from us in the commentary box, trying to keep track of all of the accidents and action as well that's going to be going around on this circuit. For the 2 sprint races we have here tonight, round 7 and 8 taking place here at a wonderful, wonderful venue for motorsport. And we come into it off the back of another very entertaining race again, Chaz, in this championship.
Yeah, definitely. Road America was an absolute delight. Loads of action there, loads of overtaking. We never really know quite where to look, to be honest, throughout the entire field in this series. It's always so full on. It's great to broadcast it there. We really have been enjoying it so far. We'll look at the championship standings though, as they currently are, and we have the elite class standings to begin with, which are the top drivers in the series. It's Troy Dolenchek who leads the way by a solid 40 points over his teammate Luke Lucchese, and Yannis Albert is not too far behind in 3rd position. Tristan Dino Brega is in 4th place ahead of Thomas Pugh on 207 points. He's only 4 points clear of John McLuhan, who is then only 1 point ahead of Ryan Ottens. So for the best of the rest, it is mighty close. But importantly, drop rounds have been applied and will apply from this point going forward. They only affect the drivers' championship standings, but with the team's championship standings, Ed, you get basically the top 2 drivers for each race classified as scoring points, don't they?
Yes, they do, Chaz. It's all about trying to get the most out of each and every round. And I believe now we're moving on to the championship standings for the Premier class.
Yes.
It is Gianni Terha, who, with that drop round taken into account, has taken a maximum amount of points. After round 1, finishing only in 2nd place, he's won every single round since. The only driver in all of the classes to have finished on the podium, and in doing so, he's only had 1 second place. That is domination by Terha. His teammate, Tristan Engelstad, not too far behind him there, with podiums as well. Just 1 finish outside the podiums, but it's a 4th place. It's still pretty good, all things considered, for Quad Dash Racing. Alex Fretwell there in third place, just a little bit behind. Had a good start to the season, but just started to lag away. Matt Hoyland in fourth, and then we get to a very exciting battle for fifth place in the Premier Class standings, where it's Simon Cheshire, just one singular point ahead of Joe Glass, who is then one singular point ahead of Nathan Crook. So those three drivers are going to be ones that we're going to keep our eyes on in the races here tonight. Then we come to 8th, Marcel Breitenbach, ahead of Robin Aston, and rounding up the top 10 in the Premier Class is James Bostock there.
Thank you very much, Ed. And moving on to the Evo class, we have Russell Jakes leading the way with a quite considerable margin of 31 points now over Wesley Van Rens. He was the early favourite after the opening couple of rounds that we had in his Ferrari. And he's got John Ludbrook behind him, just 9 points back ahead of Rob Mackay. Rob had obviously that DNF, or well, he lost the lead, I should say, at Circuit of the Americas, so he'll be hoping to at least get something back for that and make up for it with the rest of his season. Gareth Newton is next up ahead of Graham Matthew, the two Lamborghinis quite close on points, with Danny Weir, one of the only Audis in the field actually for the DXT Motorsports Academy team. Hoping to see them back out there this evening. I think Danny Weir is out there and Alex Boniface actually, so both the guys out there tonight, Ed. But only one more set of championship standings to go.
Yes, we do, and it's again the consistency of Quad Dash Racing. They are still a two-driver outfit, but their consistency of constantly scoring points sees them first ahead of RDSA Esports. Those Porsches have been looking very quick all season long, but inconsistency is what sees them drop down into second place ahead of then Suma Racing with Yanis Albert. He's been very exciting to watch so far this season. Hopefully we'll see some more of him tonight, with then Barbecue Bread Racing in fourth, Lord Crook Racing fifth. Got DXT in sixth out of Octane Racing Academy. Seventh with then the MRC Cars 493 of Chris Keenan and Russell Jacques. KM Racing, and then PTEC GP2 in 10th place.
Smashing stuff, and that brings you up to date with where we're at with the championship. Our most recent race winner is this man, Luke Lucchese. Took the race victory at Road America, and after having a bit of a rough time at Sebring, he was very happy to take that, wasn't he, Ed? Because it was not an easy ride there with the incident right at the end. Don't get me wrong, it was very exciting, and I'm sure the guys loved it as much as we did with all the battling that was going on, but for the result to get away from him like that, he wouldn't have been too happy with it, would he?
No, he wouldn't have been. So it was a good convert of the good result that he's had so far this season. Score some very strong points. Obviously not been the favourite sort of round last time out, was it? Round 4 and 5 of the championship. It didn't quite go to plan, so it was good for him to get back up on to the top step of the podium for his first victory of the season. And at the moment it's looking very close, just as the time's come through in practice, isn't it, Chaz, between Yanis Albert and Troy Dolinshek, the championship leader there in second place behind the Lamborghini that's been taking the fight to him all season long, but also Thomas Pugh for Barbecue Bread Racing. He's had a very good time there, just nearly half a tenth of a second shy of Yanis Albert. And he's been sort of flying a little bit under the radar. Had an amazing battle, didn't he, at the end of the second race at Sebring, where he was able to just pit Yanis to that second place. You see maybe the same here, because he does tend to perform quite well in these sprint races.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lamborghini's looking quite strong here, actually, at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is good to see. It's been the Porsche that's been dominating a lot. I mean, it is Lamborghinis and Porsches in the top 6, at least, in each class at the moment. It's Nathan Crook for Lud Crook Racing that's currently the fastest in the Premier class in this session. He's ahead of Gianni Terhar and then Joe Glass. There's none of the front-running Evo drivers out there on circuit at the moment. Dennis Kohler is the highest place of them that is currently on the circuit, and he's in 10th position. He's got the red LEDs in the headlights of his Porsche 911 992 GT3R, making his way down towards the first couple of corners. I love the first corners here at Montreal. It's so tight and twisty and difficult, but it's just a bit of Formula 1 nostalgia for me, I think, which is why it's so exciting to watch. But the drivers are going to be making some big moves down there tonight, I think, Ed, as I've just realised that we've got a change of car for one of our usual front runners. I've just snapped my pen. Oh.
There you go. Christophe Demay was not really getting along with the BMW. He said as much after the racing last time out, that he was just trying to make the car work and it wasn't playing ball. So we're going to see him now switch over to the wonderful sounding Audi as we go on board with him now and towards turn 3 and 4. Tricky to get a car nicely balanced around here, especially this Audi, which still has a slight tendency of the older car where it a little bit tail happy, sometimes squirrely on the throttle. It's something for drivers to worry about, and you want a nice planted car around the circuit, so we'll see how that goes for Christophe Demay tonight.
Just sounds wonderful. I could stay on board with it all day. The 5.2 litre V10 in the back of the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. You can tell it's the Evo 2 via the different rear wing supports that go around the bottom of the, around the bottom and then over the top of the rear wing. Session comes to an end though, and all the drivers will now disappear back to the pits, and we will get things underway for qualifying. They have an 18-minute session usually, where they get 4 laps basically on their own, so there's no other drivers on circuit, no slipstreaming or team tactics to affect anybody. Everyone just has to do their own thing here, and the first driver to pop up on our timing screen to actually go out and do a lap is the man that was quickest overall in practice, Yannis Albert for Suma Racing in the Lamborghini. Shares the same V10 engine that the R8 GT3 has. Sounds just as lovely. Doesn't have quite the same onboard because of the colossally, awfully paced screen at the top of the shot. But Yannis will be lining himself up here to hopefully repeat that time that he got in practice there, Ed, because to be right at the top of the order gives him that confidence to fight with these guys, because when we spoke to him a few rounds ago, he said he wasn't up as high as he would have liked to have been.
Yeah, you're right. He was saying that he was hoping to be fighting for the championship, but it just hasn't quite worked out in his favour. But rekindling some of that form that we saw at Sebring, where he managed to put it on pole position, let's not forget. Let's see if he can do it here once more. And I'm just trying to warm the tyres up again. For the first few laps, we're not going to expect the drivers to properly put times in that are truly representative, because the car isn't quite in the perfect operating window. But after the first lap's been and gone, the sort of sighting lap for the drivers, then we'll start to see the quick times really roll in.
Yeah, absolutely. So these first representations may not be, well, funnily enough, representative. But Yannis Albert then trying to just get a last bit of temperature into the tyres, just weave the car as much as he can through this final sector. Just prepare himself, prepare the steering, get it all ready to go before he attacks the circuit for his first flying lap here for round 7 of the championship. Let's not forget that there is a reverse grid element for the second race of the evening, so the drivers have to think about their finishing positions in race 1 and how it will affect them for race 2. You may see some drivers drop out slightly or not go for moves they normally would in the hope of getting a better grid position for race 2. You can see Yannis really rotating the car on turn 2 and even having the steering wheel basically perfectly straight on the exit because it was over-rotating that rear end. That's the thing with the mid-engine cars like the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris. That weight over the rear end really does make them oversteer cannons. However, it's a very, very good car to drive if that's what your driving style matches. It's a very tough chicane to get the car out of smoothly as well. Wall on the outside. Really does look like he's dancing with this car, doesn't it, Ed?
Yeah, the tyres are still not quite in the right window. We saw him struggle a lot through that little complex of corners. We're going to maybe see it again just through here. The car seemingly not quite responding again. That big twitch over the curb on the exit. Needs to be incredibly careful to not bin it into the wall and lose a lap here. Just again getting the car warmed up and probably fired up. I'm not sure if we're going to see him properly attack the final corner because he knows it's not going to be a truly representative time, so he might back off a little bit, try and warm the tyres up and then go for it again for the second time of asking. I'm going to see if there are any other drivers as well coming through to set some times. I can see Luke Lucchese is out on the circuit. Jack Pierre-Mohammed, I think, first over the line.
Opens up turn 1 as well by going all the way over to the left-hand side. There's a 1:35.484 does Jack Pierre-Mohammed, and there it is on the board, 1:35.484 ahead of Yayan Stichbury. David Russell currently the fastest in the Premier class. Dolinchek goes quickest by nearly 3/4 of a second over Yannis Albert, then Pierre-Mohammed, then Demay, Stichbury. Engelstad goes quickest in the Mercedes for Quad Dash Racing. Very well done to him. Cakebread goes fastest at the moment. He's risen to the top, so to speak, in the Evo class ahead of Mackay and then Jakes. And now it's Nathan Crook. Second fastest outright for Nathan Crook as well. If we show you the overall times, you can see he's faster than Albert and Pierre-Mohammed at the moment. He's a very confident boy, is Nathan Crook. And he's certainly showing us why right now with that initial time. That's really good stuff from him. See whether he can keep it like that for the entire evening. good mix of cars by the look of it in the mid-pack there, actually. We've got some Mercedes, BMWs, Ferraris and Audis all together. Thomas Pugh has just gone 3rd fastest overall, 2nd in his class. Joshua Dolinchek in the chat saying, let's go Troy. We look here at Stephen Cakebread, who is obviously in the Ferrari now after changing from the BMW last time out. We were ogling at this livery, weren't we, Ed, and how much it suits the Ferrari. I just still think it sounds broken everywhere, doesn't it, this car?
Yeah, it sounds like it's sort of misfiring a little bit. It's not quite as tuneful as some of the other cars around here. Even to an extent, the BMW sounds a little bit better than this, if I'm going to be totally honest. Stephen Cakebread, though, doing a very good job behind the wheel of the Ferrari to go into the top of the Evo class standings as it is in qualifying. Got 2 tenths per second to Rob Mackay. DX that's what's in behind as we're seeing some sprint changes. Christophe Demay goes up into 8th position, 5th in his class.
Oh, lovely camera change there. It seemed to think that Joe Glass was further around the circuit than he was. He's currently 2nd in his class at the moment. James Rankin looks like he's about to improve as well for CHR Motorsport. We'll keep our eye on Joe Glass as he crosses the line. Barnett goes 2nd quickest. Joe Glass does improve, and Dennis Koller, just went to the top and then got displaced by this man, Randy Ayres. Literally, as I clicked on Dennis, Randy's name took his place on the list. That's literally how quickly Randy's just done that. James Bostock there puts in a lap time as well. Where does that put him on the grid? Didn't count, I don't think, or it wasn't an improvement anyway. We wait for Luke Lucchese to put a time on the board, though, Ed. He's not got one in yet. There's, to be fair, a good 20 drivers, I think, that haven't got times on the board at this moment.
Yeah, Troy Dolinchek still with half a second to the rest of the field. That is a very impressive time by Troy. He's just that quick seemingly around here and pretty much around everywhere, isn't he? Thomas Pugh is just in behind, and Dennis Albert still not quite getting the lap fully hooked up. Lamborghini, while it can maybe get those times in practice, when it counts in the race, on the qualifying at least, trying to get those tyres heated up in the very small window of time that they have, just isn't quite working out for him, as Jack P. Mohammed now goes up into 3rd place in the elite class, 4th overall. Nathan
Crook now 2nd fastest outright here as well. He's got a good gap over the guys behind him. Barnett, Glass and Wrestle and Fretwell in 5th. As Yanis Albert in the Lamborghini goes quickest by just under 1/10 of a second. 0.095 of a second for Yanis. They have been saying in the chat, actually, in Discord, that the quickest car is definitely the Lamborghini here this time around. The Porsche doesn't suit this place as much. So this is their opportunity to level the playing field a bit and get right up there with them. Luke Lucchese goes 3rd fastest in his class and outright now as well. But it's still Albert, Crook and Ayres that lead their respective classes. Let's have a look at drivers that haven't put times in yet. Tristan Dinabrega is one of them. Ryan Ottens as well, another one of the elite class drivers. Gianni Terhar goes quickest in the Premier class. Would you expect anything otherwise? Very well done to Gianni. He's just 1.5 ahead of Nathan Crook, but those two half a second clear. And Alex Koenraerts goes quickest now in the Evo class. And this is the best thing about the Evo class, Ed. You never know how it's going to go week in, week out. I mean, we don't really know how any of them are going to go, but the most unpredictable one is definitely the Evo class, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very difficult to know exactly who's going to be the on-form driver, because it's just so fine margins all throughout the championship. I'm just having a look now to see Troy Dolinchek, who's going to be approaching the final corner now, and actually just exiting. Look at how close he gets to the wall of champions. Is that going to be a 0 exit? Invalidate his lap time. That could be a real killer for him. He comes over the line, comes to a stop. No time coming through for Troy Dolinchek, at least not an improvement. So Yanis Albert stays. Provisional pole position. Yanis doesn't improve either. So he's now gone into the pit. So it's all down to Luke Lucchese and Thomas Pugh if they can try and beat the two up ahead of them.
Tristan Dinabrega is just going to complete his first fast lap now, and he gets really close to the wall of champions as well. The thing is, people are really good at sweeping past that tyre stack and sort of making a curve that doesn't clip the tyre stack or the wall. As 2nd fastest goes Luke Lucchese. Luke Lucchese right up there now for RDSA Esports. Yes, we did just change car. They're pretty much in identical spots on the circuit. Wow, 14 thousandths ahead of Dolinchek.
Yeah, and Luke's got another lap to go, so we can see if the car has still got some pace left in the tyres. He's really pushing it hard. You can see on the exit how close he got to the wall. So hard now, late on the brakes in towards the left-hander, riding the curb to open out the right-hander, get on the throttle nice and early. That is something that this Porsche is very good at, isn't it, Chaz? Getting onto the power nice and early, hunkering down all of the weight towards the rear end and just getting up and going. Once more, hard onto the brakes, trying to open up the corner as much as possible. Be careful, though, of the curbs. They can catch you out. Oh, a little touch into the wall there. I think that might be something that could cause an invalidation, because it looked like, Chaz, there was a little bit of contact with the wall.
Yes, I definitely think he did touch it there. It just depends whether the sim picked it up and determined that it's big enough. Graham Matthew heading to the line has done a purple sector in the Evo class. Alex Koenraerts has improved, actually, and got even quicker. Nathan Crook got closer to Gianni Terhar. No time that actually puts Graham Matthew at the top here. He's had 3 invalidated laps. Wesley Van Rens is only just finishing his first fast lap here, so he's left it a little bit later in the session. Ryan Ottens has done a purple sector on his lap. Where does that put him? Does he improve? No. Thomas Pugh is right up there in the fight as well. He's currently in 4th place in his class. We'll go back and look at Wesley Van Rens, though, in the Ferrari, because he's definitely one of the drivers that could be at the top of the Evo class. Let's go on board as he goes through the chicane. Terrifying bit of corner as he actually has a bit of a wiggle. Clips the grass on the exit. That won't be enough for an off-track. Sticks to the middle of the road as opposed to going all the way over to the left. And where does that put Van Rens? 4th fastest at the moment. Half a second to find for the Ferrari driver, but he's got 3 laps to do it here, Ed.
He's got a lot of time still to go. I believe Tristan Di Nobrega's got a lot of time to go as well, as he's coming through to try and settle that in the elite class. One of the drivers that was sort of later on getting onto the circuit in the session. So he knows basically now the times that he has to chase. Doesn't have to worry about other drivers improving behind him, because that work's already been done by everyone else in the session, which can be quite beneficial for a driver's mental state. They don't need to worry about what's behind them. They've just got times to focus on in front and no question marks.
Absolutely, and you can see actually he's backing off on this lap to try and improve on the next one. He's just decided to wind the car back a little bit, finish this one and go again. A quick shout to our championship sponsors, by the way: Keenan Eco Energy, Medius, Kame and AB Designs. Massive appreciation to you all. Thank you for supporting the series and supporting us here at Chaz Draycott Media as well. It's great to be here for the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Let's see what Ryan Ottens can do as he crosses the line, completes the session. No improvement there for him, unfortunately. Tristan Di Nobbrega now coming through the final corner himself, and he's going to now push on, and this is going to be, well, it's make or break now, Ed. He's done 3 laps. This is going to be the one that has to count for Di Nobbrega if he wants to get inside the top 2 rows of the grid. Let's not forget, rolling starts as always, so it's important to be right up there.
Absolutely. A little bit of a twitch on the exit, but he still was keeping the power down nicely, so that isn't going to hurt him too much. Now, once more, try to cut the inside, not too much to get an invalidation. Seems to be getting it really inch perfect. Again, a little brush on the wall. That might be all right. We'll keep it going. On board with Tristan Di Nobbrega. He's currently chasing down that time by Yanis Alba. He's got just about 4/10 of a second to try and make up, so it's not a huge amount of time, but on a circuit like this, where trying to push and find those few tenths could end in disaster, it could work out very poorly for Di Nobbrega. He needs to prioritise getting a good result. Maybe not quite that pole position, but once more, really throwing it at the corners, and it seems to stick for him.
Yeah, it seems like the car is really behaving itself here. Wesley Van Rens has gone 2nd fastest in the Evo class, by the way, just in front of Rob Mackay, but still 0.2 of a second off Alex Koenraerts. He does still have 2 laps yet to go in the session, does Wesley Van Rens. Joe Shapara is about to complete his lap as well. Does he improve? He does. He gains a place in his class. He will start this race a bit further down in the Premier class, though, unfortunately. He's moved up into 24th place overall. We do stay with Tristan Di Nobbrega. He's done an improvement in the first sector, not in the second sector. Wow, he turned in early there and attacked the curb. Oh, he's hit the wall hard on the exit, and that is the end of it. That is all it takes to ruin a qualifying lap, but that's also all it takes to ruin an entire race as well, Ed. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, it really can do. The drivers maybe not pushing as hard in the race as they will be in qualifying around here, but still, that is something that can catch the drivers out if they're chasing down a driver ahead to try and get those all-important positions, potentially even to get reverse grid pole position, as Wesley Van Rens improves up into 2nd place, but doesn't quite get the better of Alex Koenraerts. But still, 1 more lap to go for Wesley.
Yeah, he had a bit of a wobble actually for a moment there, and the car wasn't quite doing what he wanted it to. Joe Shapara, by the way, in the BMW for this week. He was in the Mercedes last time we saw him. But this time out, for the JSD Racing team, he's in the Beamer with the big shark mouth on the front of it, very military. It's almost like a budget Rexy, isn't it? But then again, anything to make the front end of that BMW prettier. He's got Mehmet Barat-Akis as well around him in the session. He's 27th on the grid outright. He's actually completed all of his laps now. This is going to be the last one by Joe Shapara, using a lot of curb. The BMW's good at that, though. It absorbs the curbs very well. It's a big old beefy, ugly car. Across the line he goes on the right. And is it going to be an improvement? It should be. 2 improved sectors. Goes up to 12th place in his class. As we go back to now, Wesley Van Rens in the Ferrari. He's only got the last sector to go, but he's gone really deep into the hairpin. That is going to harm him a lot there, isn't it? Because it's going to ruin his run to the chicane.
Yeah, he's now going to be seeing the delta time just trickle away from him. He hasn't actually improved in either the first or the second sector either, so this looks to be a lap that Wesley Van Rens is not going to be too happy with. He's going to be having to settling for second position in the Evo class unless he pulls an absolute rabbit out of the hat through the final sector here. And over the line he goes. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing any real sort of marked improvement. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near it, unfortunately. And no, he's going to be settling for second at the moment in time. Still a very good qualifying performance, though. Let's not take that away.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Wesley. He's right behind Alex in the lead, or Alex is in the lead of the Evo class.
Yeah, very, very close stuff there. You can see the times down the left-hand side of your shot. Yannis Albert fastest by 81 thousandths of a second from Luke Lucchese and Troy Dolinchek. Gianni Terhar actually quickest in the end in the Premier class, ahead of Nathan Crook. Matt Barnett third in that class as well. And then, as we just mentioned, Alex Koenraerts and Wesley Van Rens, the fastest 2 in the Evo category, ahead of Rob Mackay, who will start the race 30th overall. 43 cars here tonight at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Just 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go here in qualifying. And let's not forget, this is the only qualifying session of the night because we still have a reverse grid element for race 2. So the results of race 1 feed the grid for race 2. I think it's only the top 10 or 12, is it, that get reversed, Ed, where the drivers have to then make their way back through if they've won the first race of the night. We do see the gloves come off a little bit, but it's great for drivers to have that second attempt, isn't it, let's say, to get some points.
Yeah, it really does, and it also means that it incentivizes drivers to not give up if their first race isn't going the way they plan. There's always opportunities for better fortune in the race afterwards, and also if you can keep yourself out of trouble in both races, you can be scoring a lot of points, because with these sprint races we have seen, haven't we, Chaz, the drivers maybe pushing it a little bit more than they do in the 1 hour sort of more familiar endurance races.
Yeah, definitely. There's a change in attitude, so to speak, and it is the top 12. Let's not forget as well, though, that even in these sprint races, where they're half an hour instead of them being an hour, we still have a mandatory pit stop in these races. So there's still a slight strategic element as well. You will see drivers maybe trying to save a tiny bit of fuel here and there. Around certain circuits, you can make it work a lot better than at others. I don't think we're going to see them really saving much fuel here tonight, but you never know what drivers can pull out of their hats, to be fair. They certainly continue to surprise us here at Chaz Draycott Media. Thanks again to everybody for turning up again this evening. It's great to have such a fantastic grid and lovely organisers as well that give us the fantastic points, graphics and all sorts. Keep us well informed. Hello to everybody in chat as well. Matt Hoyland saying, good evening, gents. I've bottled yet another qualifying shocker. Bless you, Matt. Russell Jakes also saying I had a horrible qualifying. And John Breitenbach in the chat as well. Good to see you, John. Hope to have you back on circuit with us again very soon. Okay, grid is forming up. We will have a warm-up lap, essentially, a green flag lap for the drivers to make their way around. I don't think they're doing the full... Where do they line up here, Ed? Let's go on board with somebody, shall we? Where on earth do they line up? Oh, it's on the back straight, isn't it? So we really don't have long, actually. I'll fly through this. It's Yannis Albert on pole position, Luke Lucchese alongside him. Troy Dolinchek and Gianni Terhar make up row 2. Gianni the fastest in the Premier class. Then it's Thomas Pugh and Nathan Crook making up row 3. Nathan second in Premier class, ahead of Tristan Dinabrega and Jack-Pierre Mohamed. Ryan Ottens and Matt Barnett complete the top 10, ahead of Joe Glass and then Dave Ressel on row 6. Christophe Demay driving the Audi for this evening is alongside Alex Fretwell in the Ferrari. Then it's Tristan Engelstad and Matt Hoyland on row 8. It's not that bad, Matt. Don't moan about that. Ryan Stitchbury 17th with Marcel Breitenbach alongside him on row 9. Matthew Jones and James Rankin complete the top 20. They're ahead of Joe Shapara and James Bostock, with Simon Cheshire and Paul Robson on row 12. Alex Koenraerts and Wesley Van Rens will face off side by side in the Evo class, with Mehmet Berat Akis just behind and Jamal Gandor from Lebanon. Then we have Robin Aston and Rob Mackay on the 15th row of the grid, completing the top 30. Then it's Gary Mitchell and Randy Ayres alongside each other, with Stephen Donnelly and Dennis Collar, John Ludbrook and Scott Kostrick 35th and 36th. Then we have Stephen Cakebread in 37th, Russell Jakes in 38th, ahead of Danny Weir and Ashley Brooks, who completes the top 40. They're followed by Graham Matthew, Alex Boniface and Owen Seward to complete the order. So a big field once again here, Ed. Plenty for the drivers to look at, plenty for the drivers to think about. It's very scary around here, isn't it, in the first lap at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I'll remember the name of the place eventually. It's not an easy circuit, this, to get away unscathed in the opening encounter, is it?
It really isn't, but Yanis is in the perfect place to be the driver that comes out of it unscathed, because he will be setting the pace and leading the field, presumably into turn 1, because he can basically just have when the field gets underway for the first of the 2 races that we have here tonight. We did see, though, didn't we, this front row in the sprint races at Sebring. Actually, no, it wasn't this exact front row, was it? It was Yanis Albert and Troy Dolinschek alongside him. So let's see what the other RDSA Sports Porsche has in store for Yanis here tonight.
Tristan Engelstad starting right in the thick of it as well. Keep an eye out for him in the Mercedes, and Ian Stitchbury as well. Both of them have had a pretty decent season up to now, but they come out of the final corner, and right now, round 7 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is underway, and it's a big leap off the line by Yanis Albert in the Lamborghini Huracan. Fantastic start for him, and it's side by side between Lucchese and Dolinschek is the one that goes down the inside straight off the bat between the two of them. Plenty of side-by-side action as expected through the first couple of corners, but everybody seemingly keeping it tidy for now. Hopefully no dramas. Wesley Van Rens and Alex Koenraerts side-by-side for the lead in the Evo class, and Wesley's taking it away from him. The Ferrari getting the job done in the opening couple of corners. This is where it usually gets messy here, though, Ed, and luckily it looks like the guys have got it all tidy at the moment. Look at them go.
I'm saying nothing, because
my
Curtis is like,
oh no!
Oh dear, he's saying nothing. Turns out was the catalyst for Danny Weir's little misstep this season. Now they wrestle, starting to have a little loop around. Trofiel's just coming into himself. Trofiel's maybe assisted in the spin, out in front. No such spins or strife for Yanis Albert, but he does have Troy Dolinschek bearing down on him, looking a little bit to the inside to try and throw off the German, but it seems to be nice and cool at the moment at the start of this race. But now a good run out of the hairpin, and see the Porsche just sticking with the rear end of that Lamborghini.
Fantastic run down to the final chicane now, and this is the thing, the Porsche is a very strong car, as you can see by the fact that most of the field is one, but now he's got the slipstream of the Lamborghini. It can really, really just keep them together. Troy Dolinschek wants to hold on to that slipstream. Great first lap, though, by everybody. Really well done. It's Nathan Crook who leads the way, by the way, in the Premier class. I keep doing that. Gianni Terhar has dropped 7 places off the start, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. Nathan Crook now just needs to keep it tidy amongst these elite class drivers, and it is Wesley Van Rens leading the way in the Evo class. You can see there Jamal Gandor having a slowdown penalty in the Mercedes, which is a shame, but we're going to see plenty of them over that chicane, aren't we?
Yeah, there's going to be a few of those. It's always worse to get those slowdown penalties at the start of the race because you don't have the time delta to go off. So iRacing deems a target lap, which is very slow for the car you're in. This means that the drivers have to slow down a lot more in the first couple of laps than they would do later on in the races. Later on, they basically go off the leader's time and then add a little bit more and then essentially subtract it from the amount you need to give up. Maths and words, it works out.
It does, absolutely does. Apologies if the iRacing volume is a little bit loud there, everybody. Just turn it down a little bit, so hopefully you can hear us both a little bit better from this point on. But Yanis Albert in the opening laps is having a really good run of things, doing everything he can do to continually hold the lead of this race from Troy Dolinschek, the championship leader. Gianni Terhar is battling away with Matt Hoyland and Joe Glass. He's got Alex Fretwell in front of him in this situation. Let's have a look at what happened to the 2 spinners on our opening lap. Owen Seward actually had a drama as well in the opening moments. I think he just came to a stop here. It says that he crashed, but that usually means, oh no, he's just gone over the tiny bit of the curb there. So easy to do that. You go to Danny Weir in the Audi, you can see a huge check-up in front. Oh, there's been a drama for Christophe Demay. He's just going to again hit the curb, is he? Yeah, back end just goes around really easily. Dave Ressel's gone wide on the way in. Oh, and then bounces off the Porsche. Great avoidance by everyone behind. Wow.
Scary sight when you're in the cockpit there, watching all the cars come barreling past you. Thankfully, there wasn't any incident falling his way. This is Ashley Brooks now. Is he going to get a little nudge just as he's trying to get the power out of the corner? And then there's a little bit of a meeting of door mirrors there with... Who was that? Is that Randy Ayres?
It was.
I believe that he's had a little coming together. So Randy Ayres was already having his own little moment, and then, you know, Porsche just seemed to join him.
Yeah, Ashley Brooks won't be happy with that one. A little bit of a tap from behind seemed maybe a bit unnecessary, but maybe the driver behind didn't expect them to slow down that much mid-corner because of the dramas in front. Great little quartet here. If we go on board with Joe Glass, you'll see just how close these guys are. Joe Grass on the inside of the hairpin there. Loses a little bit of momentum as a result of that, but any driver would try and do that. You know, you try and tighten up the corner as much as you can to get the run on the exit. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him this time around. Joe Shapara's had a drama. Joe Shapara is around on the exit, and that stinks of side by side on the exit and then turned around onto the grass to me, Ed. What do you reckon? Are you a betting man?
I'm not, but it looks like it is going all right for you. Do get stuck together, and then a little bit more severe than I was expecting it to be honest with you. And then Joe Shapara, after wiggling and waving, deciding which way was the best, he opts for the left-hand side of the circuit. Just has to sit back and watch the whole world go by, and he's now down in 41st place overall after that.
This is what happened to Christophe Demay. I think he's going to get a slowdown penalty for that, isn't he? All day. So he just pulls over to the side, and then Christophe got put down the order. You can see Engelstad got one as well, but Demay got that slowdown penalty, and then that put him right in the thick of it, and then he had that accident not long ago. Gary Mitchell has now had a drama. We will break away from these. It's not like the standards are low. It's just that we want to show and justify to these drivers what's happened. Oh no, that was a little bit low standard, I won't lie, from the BMW there. Joe Shapara just, well, hoping to go straight into the pits, but he won't be too pleased with himself for that one, to be honest with you. That was a little bit messy. The car in front wasn't pitting. He was. I don't think he considered it. Still, we look now. Ooh, bit of a bump there from Jan Stichbury on the back of Joe Glass. Wesley Van Rens leads the Evo class now, and actually the driver that was originally on pole position there, Alex Koenerarts, has been into the pit, said. He's actually been back into the pit lane and is now sitting down in 13th in class, so not sure what's happened to him, but maybe the incident limit, maybe incident points causing a drive-through for him.
Already, that would be very surprising to see, because we're not even 10 minutes into the race, so that is going to be a huge problem for him if that is the case.
Oh yeah, there is a mandatory stop though, so maybe some of these guys are taking it ridiculously early.
I was going to say, it seems like if it's planned, then it could be a masterstroke, because you're going to be in clearer air. You're not going to have to worry about being caught up with loads of the other cars. I was for a moment forgetting that the cars were going to ghost through each other. I thought we were barrel into the back. Ooh, a little touch on the exit there. The alloy wheels getting a nice bit of scrubbing from, I think that was Alex Fretwell that was pushing a little bit harder. Was it Matt Hoyland?
Hoyland.
Really going for it. These two battling for second position in the Premier class. Ferrari versus Porsche. And Matt Hoyland's in I think a new livery here tonight.
Yeah, it does look slightly different. It's got, I think it says Dexterious down the side of it. Dexterous. Not quite sure what that's about, but I do like it. It's quite funky livery. Looks like a special one-off livery almost. All over the back of the Ferrari now. Looks down the inside. Doesn't go for it in the end. Just behind them, Gianni Terhar, championship leader in this class, with Nathan Crook just behind him. Actually, Nathan Crook's lost a bunch of positions as well, hasn't he? Matt Barnett is now the leader in their class. So let's have a look at what happened to Nathan Crook, because he's dropped a few places in one go here. Let's see whether we can find... Gianni Terhar and Nathan have had a really good battle by the look of it. This is Matt Barnett then, getting the lead of the class. Oh, is it a slowdown penalty?
Just slow down on the exit. Let's have a little look and see. He's slowing down.
He's on the brakes as well.
Still.
Wow. I didn't expect him to be on the brakes, but he's got back going again. And oh, straight down the inside. Ooh, hey up now. A little bit uncalled for down the inside of Hoyland. But then he gets in the battle, and that's where the positions went, you see. So that's why he's now battling with Gianni Terha. There's the pair of them together, glancing the wall. God, I love that shot. As they fly around this first sector. But we know what Nathan Crook's like. He's a very confident driver, so he's certainly going to be on the attack now. He won't let that knock him back, will he?
No, he won't. He'll really be going for it now, and he's only had himself to blame for the slowdown penalty, and that can sometimes frustrate you even more than it being another driver's fault. So we'll see how frustrated Crook is able to manage around here, as Merakis needs to just stay still and wait for everyone around him to get past. He's found a clear bit of circuit now. Oh no, he's not clear at all.
He's getting more in the way.
Yeah, he went from being off of the racing line to suddenly reversing onto it.
Yeah, not quite sure what's gone on there. We'll find the accident. Tries to go around the Ferrari. That's Wesley Van Rens. Oh, and he's just bounced off the back of him. We've seen that a little bit more recently, haven't we? It's a real shame to see that, actually. The car's bouncing off the car in front more often than not, which we don't really enjoy.
It's Sebastian Vettel 2017 sort of moment, I think, isn't it? Where we saw him constantly having battles, and even though it looked like he was the one that was going to pip someone around, it always seemed to end in a spin for him. So it's seemingly becoming more and more prevalent in iRacing now, those sorts of little spins after contact. Look at how close these two are, though. Nose to tail, they're almost like, ooh,
in it.
Behind, almost like a bendy bus of Porsche and Lamborghini.
Great symphony.
There, but I can tell you, they've actually been able to break away from the cars in behind. They've got 3 seconds now to Luke Lucchese. So even though Troy wasn't quite able to get the laps done in qualifying, in the race, he's really turned it up a notch.
Absolutely, putting loads of pressure on Yannis Albert. 3 seconds back to Luke Lucchese, as Ed rightly mentions. It's the battle that is on for the Premier class that we need to have a quick look at, though, because Matt Barnett leads the way there, but it's Alex Fretwell trying to hold on ahead of Gianni Terha and Nathan Crook for the podium positions here. Wesley Van Rens still leads in the Evo class by just a couple of seconds. Sorry, a couple of tenths from Rob Mackay. We've seen a bit of that already tonight, haven't we? The cars getting really close to each other on the exit of the hairpin, or even on the apex of the hairpin. It seems like drivers just having that little bit of a wake-up call, aren't they, to back off slightly when they've got a car that close to the front of them.
That was nearly a Dale Earnhardt bump and run there by Gianni Terha into the back of Alex Fretwell, unsettling the rear end of the Ferrari just as he was about to put power on. I think, though, that Gianni realised what he did was a little bit naughty and just backed off a touch, didn't get in the throttle as early as he could have done. So it's great sportsmanship there by Gianni if that is the case. Nathan Crook now has the opportunity to go for a move on Gianni, but thinks better of it, realises that the 3 of these drivers could work together to try and close the gap down to Matt Barnett, who's got a comfortable advantage of around about 4 seconds, doesn't he, to second place in this Premier class.
Yeah, a bit of a gap now back behind these guys, so he can afford to have a go. Wesley Van Rens has opened up his gap ahead of Rob Mackay, but Rob, as we know, one of the quickest guys in the class, so he's certainly going to be checking his rear view mirror. In terms of drivers that have gained places, Graham Matthew is the one that's gained the most places out of everybody in this race so far. He's currently gained 13 positions up to 28th place. But we need to keep our eye on this because this could explode at any moment here. Now Crook has taken a later turn in there to try and focus on the run on the exit because he knows that Gianni Terha is going to get stuck behind that Ferrari at some point. We'll go back on board with Nathan Crook and see it from here. Gianni goes to the inside line. Is he going to make that work? I don't think he is. Fretwell's going to afford him the room. Really good respect by the two of them, but wow, this is close racing, and this is exactly what we love to see, and it's exactly what we always see from the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Great stuff.
I was surprised that Crook didn't quite get the run out of that corner, because you saw the two of them going a lot tighter into the hairpin. As now Gianni Terha, does he have the overlap on the inside? Not quite backing out of it here. Actually, the two cars now going into the pits, and Gianni Terha, I think, gets distracted by it and cuts the chicane. He's going to get a slowdown, and if he was to pit next lap, he's going to come out behind them. So he needs to really push on, try and extend for as long as possible, and hope that those two battle while he's trying to make up the difference.
This is the guy that they're all trying to chase as well. Matt Barnett having a fantastic run at the moment for the ORA Motorsports Omega team. The Lamborghini leading its class with its very shiny chrome wheels. But he's been in a class of his own at the moment since he got the lead earlier. He might have inherited it, sure, but he's held onto it really strongly up to this point. Luke Lucchese and Thomas Pugh are also very close together. He's not happy with somebody, is Lucchese. Flashing his lights. Thomas Pugh trying to go around the outside. That is the car in 42nd place, which is Gary Mitchell in the Racing League Hub Ferrari, the Tunnux Tea Cakes livery. Side by side again as Pugh gets a fantastic run down towards the hairpin. Lamborghini on the outside, Porsche on the inside. It's definitely going to be Luke Lucchese's corner if he just tucks it in enough on the exit. Yes, great launch out the corner there. And let's not forget Tristan Dino Brega. He's got a front row seat to all of this. But look at the way the Lamborghini gets out the corner there, Ed. It's got a fantastic bit of punch to it tonight.
Yeah, it's not usually the case because we know the Porsche is very strong in that regard. So interesting to see the Lamborghini now having the ability to get on the power nice and early as Yanis Alba now comes into the pits, as does Tristan Dino Brega. But look at how close Tristan came to tagging the rear end of the car ahead. That was a little bit too close for comfort for my eye.
I've clearly set that camera up for something fancy a while ago. Something like that. As these two now go side by side into the pits. Don't make contact, boys, just in case. Scary stuff. Troy Dolinschek then inherits the lead of this race in the Porsche. That's where he's used to being, to be honest, isn't it? Troy Dolinschek out in front. Championship leader will now be trying to put in the fastest in-lap of his life to try and get ahead of Yanis Albert. Wesley Van Rens is just coming down the start-finish straight, hoping to take the class lead here. We'll go on the left rear corner of the car because Rob Mackay is coming out of the pits. Although, no, Rob's not coming out of the pits yet, actually. Wesley Van Rens, well on his way, actually. I think, no, sorry, I was getting confused there. Wesley hasn't pitted yet. I thought he'd pitted on the previous lap and then Rob was coming out, but no. It's just because of the chicane. Rob was ahead of him, basically, because he was so quick into the pit lane entrance. It's a confusing old element to get used to, so I do apologise, everyone.
Troy Dolinschek now with clear air. What can he do to try and get the better of Yanis Alba, who's come out into 7th place overall, 4th in class. Troy with the help of Porsche ahead, the 144 of Akus, just dragging him along. Will Troy decide to go into the pits now? Yes, he does. Will Luke Lucchese follow him in, his teammate? I would presume so. Yes, he does as well. Yanis Alba, now with Porsche for company, is a car in a class behind him and also a lap car, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, it's Yanis, it is James Bostock.
Yeah, he just took him for position.
Doesn't slow down Yanis too much, as Troy Dolinschek is still in the pits, but starting to make his... No, he isn't. He's still stationary, actually. So, as it seems, Yanis could be able to get the jump on him. Now Troy is up and running. Where is that Lamborghini Huracan?
Oh, he's had him. He's absolutely had him.
Sight.
Look at
He's
that.
done him.
Wow. I do wonder whether Yanis got held up behind James Bostock because he was with him for a few corners, but after the pit stop, Troy Dolinschek leads the race from Yanis Albert, and that is the gap. Luke Lucchese is only just ahead of Simon Cheshire, but Simon yet to pit at the moment. We'll show you the pit stops on the left-hand side just so you can see. Simon is one of the final cars not to have pitted in this race, so he remains up there for a bit of airtime in the MRC 495 car. No, he's in the back of Luke Lucchese. That's not the airtime that he would have wanted at all. But he just overdoes it on the brakes way too late and clips the back of the Porsche in front. Jack Pierre Mohammed says, thank you very much, I'll have some of that. But, oh, Simon Cheshire will not be pleased with himself there, and I tell you, Luke Lucchese won't be pleased with him either.
No, I don't think we need to tell you that for free. That is a big, big disappointment for Luke Lucchese. It's just Simon Cheshire a little bit too late on the brakes and just making a little bit of a mistake. Innocent bystander Luke Lucchese seems to be coming off the worst throughout all of that. Simon Cheshire, we are expecting him to come to the pits after this run out of the hairpin.
Looking a bit further down the order, Scott Kostrick is another driver that's, I believe, changed car for this season. I think he's normally in a Lamborghini as well. Either that or I think he might have been in a BMW at one point. But he's ahead of Russell Jakes for MRC 493, then Stephen Donnelly, then Alex Kuneratz, who's trying to make his way back through the order. I don't recognise Stephen Donnelly's BMW either. I think that's a new livery for him. So clearly some car changes as the season has gone on. think some of the guys need to sort their number boards out though, but that's me just being a pedantic little puppy. Simon Cheshire is now into the pits. And these guys all trying to make moves on each other at this stage, just all looking down the inside, faking it here, faking it that way. And we've got White Van Gaming, Ben Chalcraft in the chat. Always a pleasure to have Ben, he's always watching the streams. He said, I'm sure Dolinchek uses the safety car engine map for his first stint. And he wouldn't be wrong, would he, Ed? Because somehow Dolinchek just manages to make it work week in, week out.
He does. It seems to work brilliantly for him, though. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Troy Dolinchek leading and actually extending his advantage to Yannis Alba on that last lap. Now just over 2-second margin between the South African and the German. Once more, it seems to be a repeat as well of the first sprint race we saw at Sebring, isn't it, Chaz? Where it was Yannis Alba on pole position with an RDSA esports car alongside him, and then during the race he just loses out to Troy Dolinchek. But still 10 minutes to go in the race. He could try and make a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as well. It's 10 minutes where anything could happen whatsoever. It's not a circuit that's forgiving to anybody, and it's a circuit that is very, very unpredictable. Nathan Crook here chasing down the Porsche of Ryan Ottens. Just behind them, you've got Joe Glass chasing Marcel Breitenbach. Marcel's doing that Ferrari some good justice at the moment, actually. Having a solid run. He's gained 5 places in this race at the minute. So too has fellow Ferrari driver Alex Fretwell. Ian Stitchbury not standing out too much tonight as Ian, but he's still up in 8th place in his class. He's there to score points in the rumbly, thundery Mercedes. We'll go on board with this thing as well as it monsters over the curbs effortlessly. It's like driving a bus over a curb on a public road. As, oh no, we had to talk, well I had to talk about Marcel Breitenbach. He's now had a slowdown penalty on the exit of the chicane, and he's going to be losing places as a result. But Ian Stitchbury, don't forget, race winner back at Sebring in one of the most amazing final laps we've ever seen. And it seems like the Mercedes just maybe not quite fixing to this circuit today, let's say.
Yeah, not quite, but Ian isn't miles away, is he, from a reverse grid pole position, so he could rekindle that form that we saw at Sebring that took him to his first victory.
Definitely is. Ian just pushing on though, and at the end of the day he's stuck with the car, and it's good to see the variation in the cars in the grid. You know, I'm not going to slate any of the drivers for picking the Porsche. At the end of the day, if it's a competitive series and you want to be in the fastest car, why would you not pick the fastest car when if there's one that's more obvious? But you know, certain drivers have different driving styles and strengths and weaknesses and reasons to pick other cars, and it's great to have that variation. That's why GT racing is so cool. You know, all the cars are just mega to look at, mega to listen to. As oh no, Nathan Crook and Ryan Ottens have come to blows here. Nathan spins the car back around to crack on. He's got one of the CHR Motorsport machines of Paul Robson going back past him there, but Ryan Ottens and Nathan Crook both trying together as there's been this off for Alex Boniface. It's just gone, oh, a little bit too hot into the left-hander. The nearby plane bias doing its thing on the camera and getting rid of the fence, thank you. And then he just rejoins. This is what happened with Nathan Crook and Ryan Ottens.
Let's have a look here. Nathan Crook chasing down the Porsche ahead, going to the inside, and it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Nathan Crook looks to the outside, then darts the inside, but you can tell that the car on the inside does just kind of, the car on the outside rather, does just turn across Nathan's nose. It's two of the drivers definitely contribute to that incident, I think.
Yeah, 50-50. I mean, Nathan comes from a long way back, but I don't think that Ottens afforded him the room there to still make the corner if he was going to get it stopped, which is a shame, but it happens in corners like that. You know, you do see lunges like that, and yeah. I think at the end of the day, you play with fire if you're going to go for a move there, and this time both drivers got burned, unfortunately. Yeah,
one of those classic racing incidents where the drivers aren't quite sure what's going on, it ends in contact. But benefactor of that is Ian Stitchbury, who now sees himself into that reverse grid pole position spot, 12th place. What was I just saying? Not even 2 minutes ago, that Ian still could find himself on the reverse grid pole position and potentially take a second race victory of the season. Could be working out for him.
Absolutely. You never know. That's the thing in this, when even with the sprint races, having the sort of strategic element to it still keeps it exciting for the drivers, really mixes it up mid-race as well. So it's not just pure pace all the time. Ashley Brooks has had a drama here somewhere in the Porsche. A little bit, well, I was going to say wide, actually. It looked like he was initially going wide through there. Oh, no, it's that horrible, lazy spin of the 911. You hate to see it. Ashley then recovers. But Hoyland, well, he said that he messed up his qualifying earlier, bottled it, but I'll tell you what, he's not bottled the race performance so far. He's got a 3.1 second lead over Matt Barnett in the Lamborghini, and he was looking quite untouchable earlier on, so good stuff for Hoyland.
Yeah, very, very good stuff for Hoyland at the moment in time. Haven't seen too much of him, have we, really, Chaz, so far this race? Been in and amongst the battles, but not quite capturing the limelight. Barnett himself hasn't really been too much in the spotlight, but that's sort of what you need in these races, isn't it? Especially the sprints, is to fly under the radar, get a good result, and hope for more of the same in the second race of the evening. Surprising though, isn't it, Chaz, that Jai Tahar, after all of the amazing drives and consistent race victories that he's had in the Premier class, finds himself outside the podium.
Yeah, indeed. It's interesting to see, isn't it, for one of the first times this season. But it's great that we've got that unpredictability. Like we said before, you know, we weren't meaning to sort of disrespect any of the classes when we said that the Evo class was the most unpredictable. All of them are unpredictable week in, week out. That's what makes this championship such a joy to broadcast. We look here at Robin Aston, side by side with Paul Robson. Let's not get these two confused. They've got it's John... flipping it, Chaz. It's Jamal Gandor that's going down the inside of Engelstad now. They've actually got Paul Robson behind them. This is Robin Aston in the Porsche that we keep our eye on. We'll get it right one day. The two rumbling absolute bombs that are the Mercedes. I mean, pulling it way down the straight. Look at that. The Mercedes used to be the quickest car in a straight line here on iRacing because it is just literally a nuclear device under the bonnet, but it certainly looked like it there. I think Robin maybe caught out a little bit there on the brakes. He had to dive to the right as a sort of semi-avoidance, and has Engelstad got another slowdown? He has. Wow, he's collecting them at the moment, like they're Pogs. Remember Pogs? Wow, I'm showing my age there.
You are. I was about to say you're showing your age there,
Christ.
Chaz. I'm sorry. I was going to say collect them like Pokemon, but if you want to go Pogs, you can go for that if you like.
I could have
Rob
said
Mackay.
Pokemon and all, Jesus.
Rob Mackay out in the lead of the Evo class by some margin as well. Nearly 8 seconds to John Ludbrook in second place. And John's got a couple of seconds to Wesley Van Rennes. So it's opened up a little bit for the top positions, at least, in the Evo class. But that doesn't mean that the race afterwards isn't going to be any less entertaining. Should be right up there in terms of excitement levels, as Yannis Albert has slowly but surely been reeling in Troy Dolenchek on that most recent lap. It was around about 0.3 of a second in the favour of Yannis, chasing down our race leader.
Well, Troy Dolenchek is just controlling this race at the moment, but like you said, 1.7 seconds, and there is the gap to Yannis Albert in the Lambo. Yannis is a never say die driver, never gives up, always pushes on. He's very realistic about it in his interviews. You know, we spoke to him earlier on in the season. He said he wasn't happy with his performances so far, but I mean, looking at the championship standings, he's right in the fight, let's not forget. But he's a perfectionist. He knows what he wants. He wants to go chasing that title, and at the moment he's not in a position to take it. But we have, what is it, 16 races this season, Ed, and well, it's going to be a very, very exciting championship because of how many we have. And we are only in round 7 here, so there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, still plenty of time for things to occur in the championship to come, and also in the racing here tonight, with one more race still on the cards. This one isn't done yet, though, as Jai Tahar continues to harass and harry the rear end. Not very pretty rear end bit as well on that Ferrari.
He's learning, everyone.
Onto the brakes. Onto the brakes now, into the hairpin. He's going to get a nice exit through here as well. Very narrow through that corner compared to the slightly wider line the Ferrari took. Both have their strengths and weaknesses. The Ferrari just getting a slightly better initial getaway, but slipstream affords Jai Tahar a little bit more of the extra speed coming into the final chicane. It's all about the exit here, trying to get a better one than the car ahead, but they both seem pretty even, so once more Jai Tahar probably needs to spend another lap looking at the rear end of that Ferrari.
Fretwell's doing a great job here. He's just putting the car where he needs to. He's not sort of showing Gianni that he's ready to defend or that he's feeling
deep
pressure. And as soon as I say that, of course he goes deep. But this is a lovely battle between two very, very different race cars. This strange Ferrari. Looks very slippery in a straight line though, doesn't it? It does look like it'd be really quick. It's got a really skinny, narrow, flat rear wing. And it's got this screen over the rear of the engine, which is not like what you see on a lot of supercars and hypercars, essentially, where they have a sort of a window or even just a hole in some cases. You know, Bugatti Veyrons, for example, they don't actually have a window over the rear. They just have the engine exposed and as it is. But to have it fully screened off like that is quite an interesting look for the Ferrari 296. It's got what they call a bread van rear window, hasn't it, where it's tubular and the sort of window is perfectly flat. Makes for a very good looking shape from the side, but yeah, it just doesn't quite work as a race car for me. It's too circular still. It's going good at the hands of Alex Fretwell at the moment. Gianni Terhar not able to find his way through and maintain that 100% podium record. We've got one more lap in the books now, and it's Troy Dolinczek leading the way. 1.7 seconds. Oh, there's a car off in front of them. Is that Danny Weir? It's Alex Boniface, and he's just got out of the way. Luckily, the two leaders make it through unscathed. There's a battle for third place outright as well here, Ed, that we've unfortunately missed up to now. Tristan Dino Brega all over the back of Thomas Pugh.
Yeah, Tristan Dino Brega trying to fight back and be through the order after not the best qualifying session in the world from him. I think he qualified 7th overall, if memory serves correct, Chaz. It was not a session that we were expecting from the RDSA eSports driver, but now he's really made up for it in the race, and chasing down Thomas Pugh himself has had a very strong race as well. Very good for yet another podium so far this season. Let's not forget the best result was that second place in the second sprint race at Sebring. Could be getting the second best result of the season. It's like in the first race.
Marcel Breitenbach's just lost a place to Ryan Ottens there, but they're in two different classes. Ottens chasing down Stitchbury for a position in the elite class. So maybe Marcel just thinking better of it and not wanting to have that fight at this point. Scott Kostrick has just got ahead of Tristan Engelstad further down the order as well. Actually, Tristan in the Mercedes down in 26th place outright. So he's not having the run he would have wanted. But into the final couple of corners as the clock hits 0, it's going to be another fantastic victory for our championship leader. Troy Dolinczek takes the race win over Yannis Albert in round 7 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and it's Thomas Pugh in the Lamborghini that gets himself a podium. Third place for him, ahead of Tristan Dino Brega. Very well done to him. Great driving by those guys. Pierre Mohammed hops into shot in the background, 6th overall for him, and just behind it's class winner Matt Hoyland in the Porsche. Very, very solid drive from Matt. He came out of nowhere, to be honest with you, to take that one. Matt Barnett as well, finishing in second place in the Lamborghini. Flashes the lights, very pleased with that. And what about the run to the line, Ed, between these two?
Look at them nose to tail, but Chaz Draycott just cannot get the better of Alex Fretwell, and it's what we saw Alex do actually at the first race of the season. Let's not forget he managed to take victory at the season opener at Interlagos in similar fashion, actually, with Chaz Draycott behind them, but it was for just third position here tonight. Let's see how they go together though in the next races. Rob McKee with a wonderful performance there, domination of the Evo class with nearly 5 seconds, 6 seconds almost to spare to John Lugbrook in behind.
Van Rens completes the podium in their class, in the Evo class. Very well done to Wesley, but another brilliant win for Troy Dolinczek, seemingly unstoppable at this point, Ed. Even when he sits even if you start the race in front of him, it seems like he can save fuel, take a shorter pit stop, and still, in the long run, come out in front. What another awesome, awesome drive that was. His teammate Tristan Dino Brega there just convoying home with him, and the guys will be really happy with how their night has got off to a start, won't they?
Really well, mate. It's been a very interesting first race. We saw a few incidents there, but it wasn't quite the full guns blazing that we were expecting, I think, Chaz, was it? It was a little bit more reserved, which is good to see from the drivers, but coming into the second race, I'm not sure if that will be the case.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether the gloves come off in the second one. What we'll do then is have a quick look at the elite class standings after that race. Troy Dolinczek takes the win ahead of Yannis Albert. Those two in a class of their own, really, in that race. Thomas Pugh, great result for him on the podium ahead of Tristan Dinabrega, with Luke Lucchese completing the top 5. Jack Pierre Mohammed was 6th overall and 6th in class, with Ryan Stitchbury in 7th, some 21 seconds back. Ryan Ottens was in 8th after his contact with Nathan Crook, and then we have Christophe Demise 7 laps down in the Audi after retiring from the race. Ed, Premier Class is all up to you.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And it was a very commanding drive by Matt Hoyland ahead of Matt Barnett, the battle of the Matts, and it is the Hoyland that comes out just ahead of Barnett, with Alex Fretwell putting on a great drive to defend that podium position from Gianni Tahar, who finishes outside the podium for the first time this season. Joe Glass there in 5th ahead of Marcel Breitenbach, with James Bostock and James Rankin. The battle of the Jameses this time, with Bostock coming out on top. Then we come down to 9th place Nathan Crook, who didn't have the best of races, caught up in a couple of incidents there, not necessarily his fault, but still not quite the race he was hoping for, ahead of Simon Cheshire, who rounds out the top 10 in the Premier Class. Then we come down to Robin Aston 11th ahead of Jamal Gandor. Scott Kostrick is 13th ahead of Joe Sparrow in 14th. Stephen Donnelly is 15th ahead of David Russell. Tristan Engelstad, who was really, actually, I'm surprised to see Tristan Engelstad down as low as he has been, considering he is well up there in the Premier Class as well. So not a good race for Tristan at all. He finishes in 17th place ahead of Gary Mitchell, Paul Robson, Mehmet Berat-Akos and Matthew Jones.
Thank you very much, Ed. And moving on to the Evo class, we have Rob Mackay taking the win there by just less than 6 seconds from John Ludbrook in 2nd place. Wesley Van Rens completes the podium and gets some good championship points. Russell Jakes, championship leader, finishes in 4th though, so he doesn't lose much there to Van Rens, with Alex Koenraerts in 5th place. Graham Matthew was 6th ahead of Stephen Catebread, and Dennis Koller was the last driver on the lead lap in the class. Danny Weir was 1 lap down with Ashley Brooks. Alex Boniface was 2 laps down. Randy Ayres and Owen Seward did not complete the race. So then, I believe it's just a 5-minute warm-up between the 2 sessions here, Ed. So we've basically got just a couple of minutes left to go before these guys jump back in. But like you said, a bit of a tame first race, wasn't it, compared to what we've seen before in the sprint races?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, where we see the difference between the first sprint race to the second sprint race. I'm intrigued though by Yannis Albert, and again just the disappointment of getting another pole position that isn't converted into the race victory. I wonder if that's going to really light a fire under him in towards this final race of the evening. Chaz, what do you think?
Yeah, I reckon so. Like I said before, he's a perfectionist, is Yannis, so he knows what he wants from the race meeting. And he knows exactly what he can get out of it, especially with the Lamborghini being the stronger car tonight. You know, this suits this place so much better than the Porsche does, so we'll have to see. But I think he will be feeling a bit fired up, to say the least. You're absolutely right. But Troy Dolinczek, his confidence right now will just be at absolute peak.
So, with 1 minute to go, still in the race session. The drivers getting started on to the grid. It does come to the point where we wonder, of course, what the drivers are going to be like out on the circuit. But once more, Chaz, Ryan Stitchbury is going to find himself on the reverse grid pole position.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's going to really enjoy himself from the front, I think. It's a perfect opportunity for him to repeat what he did back at Sebring. And I know that any driver will take an easy opportunity at a win. It's not going to be easy to hold on, though, but we know that he can do it. We've seen him do it before. And this is the beautiful thing about it. You know, you sometimes get drivers that, sure, they might not have the best qualifying pace in the world. Their 1-lap pace may not get them pole position at every single round. But you will still see drivers that once you put them at the front in these second races of the night, they can hold their own. And that's what keeps it so interesting. Again, it's that unpredictability factor of this championship that we really enjoy here. And we look forward to the second race of the evening. Another very quick shout out to the championship sponsors of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship: Keenan Eco Energy, Medius, Kame and AB Designs. Really appreciate you all, and of course our viewers as well. Great to have you with us this evening. So the session is just finishing now. You'll see a bit of a flicker around from the crowd, and the conditions as it goes into the race. The crowd suddenly fills up as everybody gets excited. Let's have a look at the grid, shall we, for the second race of the night. Ian Stitchbury starts on pole position with Joe Glass alongside him. Gianni Terhaar starting third with Alex Fretwell joining him on the second row. Then it's Matt Barnett and Matt Hoyland and all Matt row 3, ahead of Jack Pierre Mohammed and Luke Lucchese on row 4. Tristan Dino Brega and Thomas Pugh complete the top 10, ahead of Yanis Albert and Troy Dolinchek. The rest of the field will be as they finished race 1, so then it's Ryan Ottens and Marcel Breitenbach, James Bostock, James Rankin, Nathan Crook and Rob Mackay starting from the front of the Evo class. He's followed by Simon Cheshire and Robin Aston. Then it's Jamal Gandor, John Ludbrook, Wesley Van Rens and Scott Kostrick, Russell Jakes, Alex Koeneraerts, Joe Shapara, Graham Matthews, Stephen Donnelly and Stephen Catebread rounding out the top 30. Then it's Dave Ressel, Dennis Koller, Tristan Engelstad, Gary Mitchell, Paul Robson and Danny Weir, followed by Mehmet Berat-Akis, Ashley Brooks, Alex Boniface, Christophe Demay, Matthew Jones, Randy Ayres and Owen Seward to complete our grid. So, everybody just about to get going now, Ed, and we look back from Ian Stitchbury, the man that's going to start this race at the very front. Another half-hour encounter here. Seems like a long old time to hold on to a pole position if you know there's some mighty quick guys behind.
Yes, and speaking of mighty quick, who's going to be right behind him as he starts the race, but Gianni Terhaar, the driver who's won nearly every single race in his class, up until obviously the most recent race where he finished just outside of the podium. He's going to be very hungry to try and put a better result on the board.
Having a bit of a weave down towards the chicane for the first time. Ian Stitchbury, the highest place elite class driver for a while as well. He's got 5 Premier class drivers between himself and Jack Pierre Mohammed, who is the next up in the elite class. He's trying to keep the grid nice and even, is Ian. Moves over to the left-hand side of the track, slows it down a lot. He's got a hell of a run, though, and he's already... Is he going? Well, I don't know what Joe Glass is doing, but he seems to be at the previous round of the championship. Ian Stitchbury gets going now. He chooses when they go, and round 8 is underway in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and it is a great, great performance, that, by Ian. He didn't really take the mick and get going straight out of the corner. He waited and waited and kept the field guessing. All busy through turns 1 and 2. I absolutely love watching GT3 cars through there. Ryan Ottens is around. Ryan Ottens is around and in the wall on the right hand side of the circuit, but he's managed to keep it out of the way. Let's see how they get through here. Whoa, who was that sideways through there? Pierre Mohammed, was it? Oh, it's mighty busy, isn't it, Ed? Cars absolutely everywhere here. But it's the RDSA cars that are trying to make their way through the order in that elite class. You've actually got Troy Dolinchek side by side here with Jack Pierre Mohammed.
Yeah, Jack Pierre Mohammed did have that little wiggle, and I was seeing as well a few other cars that were looking a little bit battered and bruised. Not too badly. I think Dennis Koller has a little bit of damage to the front end of his Porsche. There's another Porsche in the wars. Who is that getting bumped around? Was that Robin Aston with Jamal Gandor in together? Into one another as well.
Oh, Terhaar's off and Fretwell's off, and race 1 winner Matt Hoyland in that class.
Deary me, it does seem to go from bad to worse for Gianni Terhaar at the moment in time, but it's a big incident. Matt Hoyland's just going to have to sit there and watch the whole world go by. It's Nathan Crook as well involved. He just can't catch a break either. Needs to be careful trying to rejoin. Thankfully, he keeps the car under control. Big damage to the front of the 119. That's Paul Robson, CFM Motorsport Porsche. Really stricken there. The entire front bumper ripped.
Oh, Albert.
Front. Albert's had an incident, or he's into the pits. Is this tactical, or is it potentially for damage?
I think tactical, you know. I think very tactical, because he knows what the battles are like. I think we've seen him do this before in earlier rounds, so we'll keep our eye on when he comes out. Ian Stitchbury cracking on in the lead of the race in the Mercedes. Joe Glass in second, then it's Luke Lucchese and Matt Barnett. Glass obviously leading his class, and Rob Mackay, well, he's held on to the Evo class lead as well. Let's see if we can... Oh, big incident, huge incident. Marcel Breitenbach is around. There's drivers still piling in. Yeah, there's drivers still piling in.
Faster there. It's just going to keep getting worse until finally it starts to slow down.
Oh, there's more.
Never mind, there's more. They need to slow it down more.
Yeah, there was some drivers just flying in there flat chat and not braking for that, and well, it's just become an even bigger car park, unfortunately. There is Yanis Albert. He's going to get through that as well, hopefully without incident. Everybody trying to figure it out on the exit, but yeah, I'm not quite sure who was the first car to go off there. We're going to piece that together in a sec, because I want to see what happened here. a little bit earlier on. We'll go with Gianni Terhar, Fretwell and Hoyland. Oh, I don't think Fretwell knew that Gianni was there, and all three of them come together. I remember Nathan Crook got involved in this as well. He's on the outside line. Oh, he's trying to avoid the car in front and unfortunately just ends up across the front of somebody else. So what on earth happened? Was it Marcel Breitenbach that was the first car to go around? I was just looking at the timing screen as it all happened, Ed. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, we're going to have a look here. We're going to come a little bit late into this, but a little early into it. Now we're going to see the incident here. Oh, it's the two Porsches coming together, and that's Gianni Terhar in a big way. I think he gets a little bit of a bump up the rear that sends him, sort of loosens up the rear end of the car, and then he's doing the right thing, holding the brakes. But all of the other cars in behind just, I guess, don't see the incident. I'm not sure. They get, obviously, the flags to let them know, but if it's around a corner, maybe it's a bit blind for him. I really don't know. I want to see as well Yannis Alba, because he came out of the pits and then just came into the midst of all of this.
It was one of the MRC cars. I think Simon Cheshire. He comes flying through it and then just clips Gianni Terhar, and then it just gets worse and worse. Jamal Gandor in there as well. More and more of them just piling in. It looked like it was okay there, but then look at that. That was Cakebread flying in. Cakebread absolutely came steaming through there. He was side by side with the... Who's that Ferrari there next to him? That was... I always forget the driver's name. It's Gary Mitchell, wasn't it?
Mitchell, yeah. Let's have a look. So he's not actually taking a lot of speed, isn't he? He gets a hit from behind.
Yeah, you know what? I was way unfair on Stephen Cakebread there. Absolutely unfair on Cakebread. I do apologise, Stephen. That is not fair for me to say.
Yeah. Who was that that came barreling in as well? Was it the Porsche? No, let's have a look.
He's got Porsches behind him. It's the 19. He gets hit by... You're right, Brooks gets hit by somebody else into Cakebread. And then, well...
That's the 119 of Paul Robson.
Yeah, don't think Robson would have seen it because of obviously so many cars in front of you there. It's very narrow. Yeah, narrow field of vision through there. And good lord. Well, we won't show too much of that, obviously. We know it's happened, but...
If I could, Chaz, just have a look at Yannis Alba, because he came out of the pits, didn't he, to try and get clear air out of all of this.
Yes.
And I just kind of want to see him come out of the pits into the melee. So he thinks he's done the right thing. He's got plenty of clear space up ahead. Comes through, he'll see maybe on his relative that there's something going on, but won't probably know how big it is. Coming through now, turns 3 and 4. All seems hunky-dory. There's a plume of smoke up ahead, which is a bit of an omen. Slows it down and sees, ooh, dearie me.
I mean, even that in itself is a great bit of avoidance as well, to be fair to Yannis. But yeah, that wasn't pretty.
Wow.
Well, it's not pretty, but it happens at this circuit, though. You know, that can't be seen as a full reflection on the series itself. You know, the amount of championships I've been involved in that have had a colossal pile up through there. It's just such a narrow tunnel of a racetrack through there. So, you know, don't let that be a reflection on the series, anybody. There are, sure, certain drivers that didn't slow down at all for the incident. Some would have been completely unsighted from it. Others just might not have seen it coming simply due to the fact that there was another car in front of them. So we move on. And Rob Mackay, well, he's going to be getting a bit of a nosebleed, actually. 10th place overall at the moment for Rob. But then again, there's a few drivers that have pitted. That's no disrespect, by the way, Rob. We love you. But obviously, on paper, having an Evo class driver up in 10th place, he's going to feel like he's on top of the world right now. As some of these guys are fighting away. That is James Bostock. And that, I believe, in there is Marcel Breitenbach in the Ferrari. But he's a lap down.
It's obviously a lap down because of the incident that he was involved with earlier on. As was Gianni Terhar involved in that one as well.
But Fretwell was not in the red Ferrari, so Fretwell will want to get them to get out of the way, for lack of better words, or lack of better broadcastable words anyway.
Definitely better broadcastable words, because at Fretwell he's going to be really hoping for better fortunes here tonight. He's had a great start to the season, didn't he, with that race victory in his class, but then it's been sort of hit and miss for him. Now I think you can really sense a chance to get some points on those rivals in the Premier class that haven't been having best of rounds. We can clearly see that Gianni Terhar, championship leader, has not had a good race here down in 35th position.
No.
And also, Gianni's teammate himself has not really had the greatest of races, and still not really having a great race is Tristan Engelstad. He's still down now in 28th place overall.
Yeah, Tristan's not had an evening to remember, that's for sure. So some of these guys will be hoping for a lot better in the later stage of the race. Let's not forget there's still at least 2/3 of the race yet to go, despite us looking back and forth at that incident and again. It didn't kill any time. We've got a big gap, but yeah, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, I would say it was potentially down to the car maybe not suiting Engelsstad around here, but you can't really blame it on the car considering there is a Mercedes leading the race right now in the hands of the Welshman Jan Stichbury, who's withstanding some decent pressure from Joe Glass, but the two can't afford to battle too much because we have those, well, several Porsches, didn't we, coming to the pits for RDSA Esports. Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinnebrega, Troy Dolinschek, all on the circuit together now and trying to work together to carve a path up through the field.
They've got traffic as well though. Russell Jakes just in front for MRC 493. This is the thing, you try and get out of the traffic, but because the field is so big and so spread out, that you can get very quickly stuck in amongst it as well. This is Troy Dolinschek, championship leader. Teammate right in front is Tristan Dinnebrega, and then it's Luke Lucchese. You can see there's cars slowing down here and there, having a little bit of contact, and looks like a bit of a check-up in front of them. I think Alex Boniface just went off the circuit there in the Audi as whoa, drama there. Car off on the right-hand side. That's Graham Matthew and Scott Kostrick, I think it was. Both the KM racing cars having a bit of a moment, trying to get out of everybody's way, I think. I'm not quite sure. We've got Danny Weir and Jack Pierre Mohammed together as well. Wow. It's very busy, but we need to go back to the front because this is for the outright race lead, and it is Mercedes versus Porsche, ORA Motorsports Alpha versus Glasstec Racing, and then they've got Matt Barnett and Thomas Pugh behind them as well. Thomas is well in position to take a race victory if he continues with the pace that he had in that first race, Ed.
Yeah, it's been... I'm just still trying to wrap my head around all of the different strategies going on at the moment, Chaz. Sorry about that. I didn't quite catch what you were saying. I was just watching Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinnebrega and Troy Dolinschek, and then also Yanis Alba, who, even though he came in very early on in the phase of the race, still hasn't quite been able to have the same performance in the pits as those RDSA Esports cars that are just going past the start-finish line now. Thomas Pugh for Barbecue Bread Racing will be seeking another podium.
Nathan Crooks just had a drama. Oh, goodness me, that's a big hit. That has ruined the right-hand side of that Porsche. Oh, it's so easy to do that as well. I thought he was going to hit the inside wall. When it said there'd been an incident, the amount of times we've seen a driver clip that inside barrier and then them bounce off to the outside, but the car just understeered from underneath him and just railed that barrier so hard. Oh no, Brayton back off as well. He's in the way. Just about recovers the Ferrari. Goodness me. It's turned into a brawl here, but we did say, didn't we, it was going to be a tough one here tonight because of how narrow and unpredictable this circuit is. As Russell Jakes tries to get out of the way. That's Dolinschek. Dolinschek involved in the barrier. Contact there, and Yanis Albert goes through.
That was just, again, I'm not sure if that was really necessary. It looked to be started by one of the RDSA Esports cars getting into the back of the Porsche.
Yeah, I think it was Dinnebrega.
Just a little bit too much space taken into the corner, following so close together. We'll have a look here. Can see his teammate just up ahead getting through and fancies a move himself. Takes a lot of speed. He knows that Porsche is going to be compromised on the exit and could afford maybe a little bit more space because there isn't really anything that the car could do throughout all of that, is there? You
No.
can see that he's been thrown into a compromised line, but he has to stay on the circuit. He's not going to vanish.
Yeah, absolutely. The car is always going to be where the white line is. And, I mean, to be fair, Troy tried it as well. He tried a gap down the inside, but yeah, straight into the barrier. And Yanis Albert will be laughing all the way to the bank now. Not that you would laugh at any other driver's misfortune. We never want that, but he'll be taking that one with a smile on his face. Matt Barnett, by the way, has taken the race lead at the moment. I can't say Barnett without sounding really northern, because up here we call the haircut or the top of your head your Barnett. So I always sound really northern when I say it. But this is how he got the lead done. Jan Stichbury in front of him. Is he serving a slowdown penalty or something?
I think he's still serving a slowdown penalty, maybe from turn one, that he tried to let go a bit, but obviously wasn't able to fully clear it, so he had to serve it after the Senna S. So Jan Stichbury has to concede the position for now, but might look to try and retake it later on in the race. Still plenty of time to go, but just going back to what we saw earlier as well, James Bostock's now had a bit of a moment, having to drop back through the field. just was going to talk about some of the misfortune that we saw from some of the other drivers, really. And I mean, Nathan Crook, that big hit, I think, is out of the race. It's a shame because his qualifying performance was stunning, wasn't it, Chaz? He was one of the highest positioned drivers in that Premier class. It just didn't quite work out for him. It was a case of this circuit being so unforgiving, and we said it at the start of the broadcast, didn't we, Chaz, to keep your eyes on drivers, maybe making a few mistakes and getting punished by the circuit. And it seems to be more than a few drivers that have tasted the bite of the Montreal circuit.
Yeah, too much maple syrup for some of them. Dave Russell has had a fantastic night at the moment, though. 26 places gained in this race for Russell. Matthew Jones has gained 23 in this race. So too Christophe Demay, actually, in that Audi. He's making that work round here tonight. I'll say that. He had obviously a nightmare in the first race, but you know what I mean. This recovery drive has been fantastic for him. So he's certainly, hopefully anyway, enjoying the Audi, because I think once you hook that car up, it really is a joy to drive. It's just a very unpredictable little pig sometimes. Got more cars coming into shot here. This is Danny Weir in the Audi, just ahead of the two Porsches of Mehmet Barakakis and Tristan Dinobrega. We've got Evo class car ahead of Premier class and then Elite class. So they all make their way down to turn one. But yeah, Matt Barnett leading the way at the moment outright in this race. And he is one of the Premier class drivers as well, leading his class. There's only a few of them that haven't pitted at the moment, and it is the top 5 and then Wesley Van Rens in the Evo class. These guys will all be coming in now, though, I can bet. Joe Glass coming in as well. James Rankin is next up. He's a bit further down the road for CHR Motorsport. But the pit stops will begin for these guys now. The highest placed driver that has pitted is Luke Lucchese, and he's the one that got away with that earlier, wasn't he, Ed?
He was one of the drivers that did just get a little bit fortunate through all of that. He was the driver that obviously was the first to get past the Porsche, and worked out brilliantly for him as James Rankin continues on, as all of the other cars still in the pits. So now we'll see Luke Casey and Yannis Alba make up a whole host of positions, and they do get ahead of Jan Stichbury at this moment in time. So could find themselves battling for the lead of the race. Yannis Alba has been slowly but surely gaining on Luke Casey, but that last lap actually Luke Casey was the quicker of the pair.
Jan Stichbury side by side here with Thomas Pugh in the Lamborghini. Thomas decides, I've just come out of the pits on new tyres, I'm going to let that one sit for a minute. They're both in the same class though. They've got Joe Glass just behind them as well for Glass Tech Racing. Gorgeous black and gold Porsche. But wow, what a busy race this one's been. Ryan Ottens has now got Hoyland, Jones and Bostock behind him. It's hard to know where everybody's going to actually settle down, really, isn't it? It's just more about looking at the individual class positions. You've got James Rankin leading the race outright and in his class at the moment, but obviously he still needs to pit. That's the word. Yeah. Luke Lucchese next up, he's leading the Elite class, and Rob Mackay now has re-inherited the lead in the Evo class. 17th place overall for car 17 as well. So he'll be over the moon. Jan Stichbury and Thomas Pugh battling into the hairpin. Mercedes versus Lamborghini, two very different cars. Porsche in there as well of Joe Glass. But Jan Stichbury holds that inside line and manages to maintain the position for now.
Yeah, for now, of course, there's still a long way to go in this race. Yannis Alba has actually closed the gap even further down now to Luke Lucchese. The pair of them should be getting past James Rankin, who's in the pits. Coming out of the pits now. He's going to drop behind two elite class drivers. That last lap, 0.5 of a second. That was the advantage that Yannis Alba was able to claw back from Luke Lucchese. So now it's really going to be game on, I think, for the lead of the race in the next couple of laps. But we have seen drivers struggle to overtake around here, so can Yannis muster what a few drivers really have struggled with?
Yeah, these guys are really pushing on now, to be fair, and you can see a bit more urgency in what the drivers are doing, can't you? The body language is completely changed from race one. Nobody sort of sat behind anybody else waiting to save fuel and playing the long game. They're all trying to make moves this way and that way and just gain whatever track position they can. I think there's... Ooh, never mind. Dave Russell and Ryan Ottens decide to test how strong that wall is. But at the moment, it's all the fact that the drivers know the field has been a bit shaken up by a big incident. They know that there's rivals in their classes that might not be in their usual position. So this is the time to take action. There's this big contact. There's a Ferrari around. That was Gary Mitchell in the Racing League Hub Ferrari. The Tonix Tea Cake car. And oh no, Gary. Oh no. Gary just moves over on the 158 machine. And that was Matthew Jones as well. He was having a belter of a race. I don't know what Gary was doing.
I haven't got a clue either, Chaz, to be honest with you.
Got
We'll
no
have to
words.
see if a replay is going to illuminate something, maybe.
So Gary was a lap down on these guys. You can see in the little number board on the windscreen, he's 35th position. The guys behind have just come out of the pits. He's probably just trying to get out of their way, to be honest. And then there was contact. We'll have to see. But through here, it's all good. He's still got the pace in the car, at least, to be out of the way. But it all happened out of here. I don't know if he got a poor exit or something, or whether the BMW that Dave Russell took an unnecessary line. Was it even down here? No, this was way earlier. I do apologise. This was the lap before.
What's the...
So this was just after it. I do apologise. Let's see if we can get it here. Okay, this will be the lap. So he's got a car behind him there, 11th place at the time. Which was that Pierre Mohammed? Was that the 209? It was. Jack Pierre Mohammed. Oh, Jack just drives through him.
Does, yeah.
And then Gary, in the sort of aftermath, doesn't realise there's still a car on his right, and then just comes across the Porsche. I think he sees the P-Tech car on his left, and he tries to get out of the way of him, not knowing there's another car on his right. I mean, we've all done it. We've all had an incident, and afterwards, you know, you lose your head a bit, and you try and look around and see what's happening. And I feel sorry for Gary in that one there, because I think initially he was painted out to be a bit more of a villain than he was there. That was just an innocent moment, I think.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of misunderstanding, not knowing there was a car to his right, also with being more aware of the car on his left, as these two going side by side. Thomas Pugh, Jan Stitchbury, Jan trying to carry the momentum around the outside. Oh,
Joe Glass, thank you.
Minerals on that, man. Brilliant stuff.
Tea cakes. Joe Glass says, go on then, boys, have a bit of that. Joe Glass leading his class here as well, so he needs to be really careful, actually, not to risk too much for this biscuit. As round the outside into turn one he goes. Jan Stitchbury just about affords him the room in the Mercedes. Great bit of driving by all of them there. Thomas Pugh now watching these two battle away as Jan doesn't want to give anyone any room here. He was squeezing the Lamborghini before Glass goes through into the chicane, and he is a Premier Class driver. He's got a bit of a wiggle on there. Is that a slowdown maybe for Stitchbury? Goodness me, this is close.
We've had two amazing battles in at the same time, because I can tell you that into the lead of the elite class goes Yanis Albert ahead of Luke Lucchese. That was the move that was made as we were watching that great little fight go on. Now Yanis Albert quite a ways back in towards turn one. Is it maybe a mistake from Luke Lucchese?
Whoa, slowdown penalty.
Luke, I think that's a slowdown that he just tried to serve potentially to turn one, didn't quite get cleared. So now Yanis Albert takes the lead of the race, putting the pressure on Luke Lucchese, and that really did tell in the end, as Joe Sparrow has a moment and has to get out of the way pretty sharpish. Does a very good job though to keep it nice and clean. And look up and down the field as well. Some of the drivers who are having some great races so far, and actually Christophe Demay up 26 places since the start of the race. He's having a really great drive up through the field. This
was the Tristan civil war of Dinnebrega and Engelstad, but Engelstad just letting Dinnebrega go at that point. He knows he's not fighting him for class position. They are 9th and in 10th place. I would have told you before that until the graphic came up, everyone, but for some reason it's not displaying class positions for us on our timing at the moment. I'm not sure why at all, but yeah, unfortunately Engelstad and Dinnebrega both suffering from earlier incidents in many ways. We've got Ryan Ottens here with the gorgeous looking Audi behind. I must say I haven't really commented on how good looking the Aura Motorsports Alpha Audi is before now, but Christophe Demay's car, menacing little thing, isn't it, that Audi? It does look small compared to the other cars though. I think the original R8 that came to the service looked a bit bulkier and a bit too fat compared to the real car, but with this one, the iRacing have really captured the sort of ankle biter nature of the R8. I think it's great.
Really, really wonderful to see. You see now Luke Lucchese is trying to reel back that to Yanis Albert, so it's not over yet for the lead of the race. Porsche is just steadily catching Yanis, but we do know in motorsport that catching is one thing, passing is something completely different, and
absolutely
we've seen it a lot this race as well, actually, haven't we, Chaz? The drivers getting close together but not actually being able to pull off those decisive moves. A lot of the time, actually, those moves have come through from other drivers making mistakes and just the pressure becoming a little bit too much for them, especially through this corner here. we've seen time and time again drivers push it a little bit too hard through there and find themselves with a slowdown penalty. Seems all fine for Yanis at this moment in time, and as he crosses the line, like 7 minutes still to go in this race before he takes his first victory of the season.
Absolutely. Still 7 minutes left to go. So we'll see what happens. It's going to feel like a mighty long time around here, actually, at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. The track is very full at the moment. There's cars absolutely everywhere, and pieces of them as well all over the place. Wesley Van Ren's here chasing down Russell Jakes. He's got Graham Matthew behind him as well. Don't forget, Russell and Graham, I believe it was, had a great chase going on back at Road America in the previous round. Wesley throwing that Ferrari over the curbs. It seemed like it dealt with it very, very well, actually, as he closes in on the number 7 Porsche in front. Currently third in his class. Now, is he going to have a go? Nothing this time round, but he knows now that he's got the Lambo behind us. No, we had to say it. We had to say it as... Oh, dearie me. What was that? Jack Pierre Mohammed just had a nightmare there. Went into the wall. Christophe Demay has been off. Matt Hoyland has had an incident here as well. So this is Jack Pierre Mohammed. He was further up the order. Is that Ryan Otten's next to him? Oh, he's been clipped on the way in. Demay goes in with him. Oh, he's been hit by Hoyland. And... Oh, Pierre Mohammed. Oh, Jack.
No.
That's very, very irresponsible, that. That was not good. I know, out of frustration, you can rejoin the circuit as quickly as... Oh, goodness me. You can rejoin the circuit as quickly as possible sometimes out of frustration, but that was not a responsible rejoin at all. As that's for the lead of the class, by the way, in the Premier class, as Matt Barnett retakes it from Joe Glass. And that's Troy Dolinchek in the mix. So how is Troy Dolinchek still in 5th position outright? What?
He's just kept it going.
How has he done that? How is that Porsche, what's left of it, in 4th place outright now? That's just stupid. I'm sorry, like,
I don't often say it as bluntly as that. I know people like that to say how it is sometimes. But that, Troy Dolinchek, is stupid. Not stupid, like irresponsible on his part, but yeah, just...
oh, God, careful, boys, flipping heck. It doesn't move. But good lord.
It's the same place it's always been.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure
Troy Dolinchek,
it's heavy.
Oh.
The bonnet as well. The bonnets are wiggling around something fierce, isn't it?
It might be for you, Ed, but we know what your internet's like.
Oh, yeah, true.
But still, recapping then, it's Yanis Albert, Luke Lucchese and Troy Dolinchek somehow
in the top 3 of the elite class. Matt Barnett leads the way in the Premier Division, Joe Glass second, Alex Fretwell in third, and then in the elite Evo class, it's Rob Mackay from Russell Jakes and Graham Matthew. Those two are a little bit more spread out right now after some earlier shenanigans. But yeah, Matt Barnett's having a fantastic night of it, isn't he? Finished second in the Premier class earlier behind Hoyland, and now he does not have any pressure from, well, said Hoyland.
So, Matt Barnett leading the Premier class from Joe Glass with several car lengths to spare. It equates to just 1 second, so not a huge amount of time in the grand scheme of things for Matt Barnett, but he has got the buffer. It's not a great buffer though, because it is that Porsche of Troy Dolinchek out in front. Yanis Albert again caught by Luke Lucchese. That gap now well under a second. It's 7/10 of a second, in fact, between the pair of them. Yanis Albert trying to hang on for his first race victory of the evening. Casey trying to make it his... for a moment there I thought there was going to be a move being made, but didn't seem to be the case. Going back to what I was saying about Luke Lucchese, he's going to be trying to make it his second race victory in, well, 3 races.
Absolutely. This is some fantastic racing though by all the guys throughout the field. It must be said, you know, we don't want the earlier incident to overshadow anything at all. It's something that just happens in competitive racing. Even the best in the world, we've all seen some crazy pile-ups before in the real world, haven't we? I mean, look at the old Macau one a while ago. Just down to a circuit with little vision, similar to this, it can be such an easy place to have a big mess like that. Still 2.5 minutes to go then, and this battle is well and truly on. Matt Barnett, I mean, he's shown himself fantastically this evening, hasn't he? He's really done a good job here. He's got a very clean car with all of this. He's held his place where he needs to. He started 5th on the grid outright, but he's been up there throughout the whole thing. Dolinshek gets a mighty run out of that chicane. Goodness me. That again just shows you how quickly and committed Troy Dolinshek is. Oh my word. Very close into turn 1. The thing is though, Barnett doesn't want to give this up because he's got to think about Glass in there as well. There's number 14 machine coming out of the pit lane. That's one of the Ludcrook cars as Barnett's lost a little bit of speed on the exit of turn 2. Joe Glass, nice and respectful there in the Porsche. This is getting feisty now, Ed. This is for the battle in their class lead, and they've got elite class drivers all around them.
Yeah, battle for the class lead in the Premier class, and it is Joe Glass trying to chase down that Lamborghini. And in fact, the elite and the Premier class, it is Lamborghini versus Porsche. Yes, Albert and Luke Lucchese. Barnett and Joe Glass, who looks to the outside. Not really close enough to make any sort of diving move through this complex, and actually getting a poor exit. And is that a slowdown for Dolinshek? It is. He drops behind the pair of them now.
Dolinshek
drops behind even Jan Stitchbury, and Thomas Pugh gets the better of him.
Well, Dolinshek pushing that little bit too hard there into the final corners, or the final moments of the race, I should say. There's Gianni Terhar. He's had a nightmare in this race as well. 26th outright here. This is a real championship shaker-upper, isn't it, this? A real blender of a race meeting, as we call it. But Yannis Albert, sans those god-awful wheels, has had a very strong night, it must be said. You know, he didn't win that first race of the night, but goodness me, he's doing a brilliant job here. He's overtaken Luke Lucchese. He's used the advantage that the Lamborghini has given him tonight. And this is the thing, when you pick a car like that, sure, not everybody is in the Lamborghini, not everybody is in the Porsche. You know, it's the best all-rounder, clearly, is the Porsche. But when you pick it, you know that there's going to be nights where it's going to be the stronger machine. And Yannis Albert has tried to make the most of that, and he's doing well here.
Yeah, he has been able to pull out some great results with this car. As it is maybe the favoured car around this circuit at the moment in time, the Lamborghini, but he's already made it work to his advantage. Luke Lucchese, he's having a good championship charge as well off the back of a good, decent result in the first race, and now another podium in the second. Going to Stitchbury as well, he's coming through for an elite class podium, so it's been a pretty good race even all around for the drivers that finished on the podium in the second sprint race at Sebring, although I think Luke Casey is a newcomer into that little club. But now just one more complex to go, Chaz.
Absolutely. Yannis Albert doing the job in race 2. He's going to be really, really happy with that one. Yannis wins round 8 of the championship here at Montreal in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Then it's Luke Lucchese next up. Great drive from him once again. He managed to make it work and get through the field. Then it's going to be, Matt Barnett across the line, out the final corner he goes. Very, very close indeed, with Glass just behind him. And don't forget, completing the podium in class there's Jan Stitchbury. He gets the elite class podium. And then it's Fretwell next up in the Ferrari. He gets another third place. He was again very under the radar there, actually. That's his second third place of the night. And what about Rob Mackay? We didn't write him off earlier. You should never write him off. But that is 2 race wins on the bounce in his class in the number 17 Porsche.
Yeah, been a very, very good race evening for Rob Mackay. Gets another Evo class victory as Russell Jacques coming over the line in second place, and there's a late change at the line between Alex Kunratz and Graham Matthew, and it is Kunratz that gets the Evo class podium ahead of Graham Matthew there.
Well, big changes right at the end of the race for podium finishes, but what a run that was by Yannis Albert. And considering earlier as well that he had to actually come back through after the incident, let's not forget, oh goodness me, he had that incident earlier. That was James Rankin really lobbing it about. But yeah, Yannis Albert we thought would lose a load of time due to that incident, and even with that, well, he just absolutely flew, didn't he? Still got to the front.
Really flew. Really, really well done for him there. Just going like nobody's business. Yeah, it was a wonderful race, wasn't it, Chaz? That second race, it did have a less than glorious moment, I think it's fair to say, but the racing that we got after that fact was brilliant, wasn't it? All the way through the field.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Well, that was another very entertaining night from the championship. Just trying to sort out the standings there, but it won't come up for some reason. If you bear with me 2 seconds. I'm so sorry, everyone. Oh, there we go. Okay. For some reason, it wasn't connecting to the software then to show us anything. Sorry, I can't get my words out. Yannis Albert takes a race victory in the second race of the evening. He'll be really pleased to have made that breakthrough with Luke Lucchese in second place. Yayan Stitchbury gets another podium, but look at the difference, 20 seconds back. Thomas Pugh right behind him yet again in second place in their little battle anyway, fourth place overall. Troy Dolinchek somehow still in fifth. Ryan Otten sixth, and then Tristan Dinabrega, the final car in the lead lap in class. Jack Pierre Mohammed and Christophe Demay both having a bit of a poor run at the end there, and incidents are plenty this evening for the two. They won't be pleased with that one. Ed, take it away with the Premier class, my friend.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And it was Matt Barnett just getting ahead of Joe Glass, getting the better of Joe Glass to take the Premier class victory in the second race of the evening, ahead of Alex Fretwell, who rounds out podium. We come down to fourth. James Rankin ahead of Dave Russell, with Joe Sparza there in sixth place. They have James Bostock seventh, with Tristan Ingolstad a little bit better here tonight, up into eighth position, ahead of Mehmet Barakas and Jamal Gandor, who round out the top 10. We come down to Robin Aston for ASE Motorsports in 11th, ahead of Paul Robson. Jai Tahara once again having a race to forget, sadly down in 13th position, with Marcel Breitenbach as well involved in that incident early on, finishing down in 14th. Nathan Crook had his own share of struggles, finishing in 15th, ahead of Stephen Donnelly, Matt Hoyland, Simon Cheshire, Matthew Jones, Gary Mitchell and Scott Kostrick, all finishing down the order, unfortunately.
Indeed, a very, very busy night in terms of the standings, a little bit all over the place. And finally, the Evo class, Rob Mackay takes his second win of the night in class, with Russell Jakes in second position and Alex Koenraerts finishing in third. And look at that, 15 thousandths of a second ahead of Graham Matthew at the line. Wesley Van Rens finishes next up in fifth place, ahead of Danny Weir, with Ashley Brooks a lap down. John Ludbrook, Alex Boniface also 4 laps down. Stephen Catebread, Dennis Kohler, Randy Ayres and Owen Seward not finishing the race. Well, it's a shame about the incident, Ed, but like we say, it happens regardless, doesn't it? It's one of those things as... Oh, I've cut back to not the perfect point. I was trying to avoid it and cut back a little bit later in the race after it happened, so we can slow it down and speak to some drivers. First person we need to speak to is the man that was the only driver tonight to take 2 class victories. Rob, welcome to the box, my friend. You must be over the moon with how that's gone this evening.
Yeah, to say I'm absolutely buzzing is an understatement. That was, much better than I ever anticipated happening.
What about this circuit as well? Because it's not an easy place to go racing, is it? As we saw with the big incident that happened, it's so narrow, it's so tricky around here, isn't it? People often underestimate it.
It is. It's so low grip as well. A lot of the corners are off camber on the exits, and it's just trying to get the power down at the right time, especially in the Porsche. If you go on the power a little bit too early, the back will come round and you're just off. My experience around here is from racing F1 on console. So when we first ran this last season in ESR, I thought, it's great, I know the track, and then drove around it, and my mind went, well, it's damn sight narrower than F1. There's no grip, which actually isn't that far off F1.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a learning curve last season, and I'm glad it's stuck. And I managed to just keep it clean and avoid a lot of the incidents around me.
Well, that's what it's all about sometimes. Unfortunately, it's about survival around here, but it looked like the Porsche was yet again a very stable platform for you this evening. It seems to be a car that's a good all-rounder. Do you feel that's the case when you're behind the wheel? Yeah,
there were a couple of times where coming out of slow-speed corners, seeing the Ferrari and the Merc pull away, but then through all of the middle sector, the Porsche just felt so nice. Get the lines right, your braking right, and get the power on at the right sort of time, and it close them back in. It really helped me I was running, I think, most of the race around some of the Premier guys, and just following their lines really helped as well.
Well, it certainly worked out for you, Rob. Like I say, 2 class victories tonight must mean quite a lot. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, there's a couple of birthday shout outs. One to Tristan Engelstad's mum, because he put in the chat earlier it's his mum's birthday, so happy birthday. And also, it was my daughter's 18th a couple of weeks ago, and we're having a party for her this weekend, so happy birthday to Jessica as well.
Cracking stuff. Well, I hope the party goes well, Rob. Hope it's a fantastic weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Well done, and we'll see you next time round. Have a good evening.
And you boys, thank you.
Cheers. There we go then. Rob doing a great job tonight, Ed, and like I say, 2 class wins. The only driver to do that this evening. That is massive for his championship.
Really is very, very big for the championship. A very tightly poised championship as well, isn't it? The Evo class. So it's good to see Rob doing so well, isn't it? All throughout the race there tonight.
Definitely is, and we move on to another driver that's really had a great evening. 2nd place in class in the first race, and then a class victory afterwards in the Lamborghini. It is Matt Barnett joining us in the box. Matt, I was taking the mick really out of the surname earlier, because up here we call the Barnett basically your head up into north, but I can't say it without the accent now, and well, you've had me saying it a lot tonight, because what an evening.
Honestly, the adrenaline's still going. Race 1 was good. Managed to avoid a couple of slowdowns, keep myself clean. Matt Hoyland had the most incredible undercut I've ever seen. He was 4 seconds back on me when he pitted. I came out of the pits 4 seconds behind him. And then I just couldn't keep up with him. And then race 2 started P5. Had a bit of a rubbish start, let a couple of guys through. Then Matt and Alex came together in the hairpin on lap 1. Managed to keep my nose clear of that. Almost took the front of Tristan off, and apologised to him during the race for that. He luckily avoided me. But yeah, there was some very close racing. I've got to give a shout out to you, and he was making that Mercedes 5 cars wide, and that definitely helped. But the racing was clean between the guys at the front. I don't know if you had it on the broadcast, but there was a pretty nice 3 wide move going into the last chicane that Troy thankfully backed out of, which let me enjoy race to the end.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting to keep an eye on when you guys are fighting within your own class, and then some of the elite guys come around and sort of mess with it a bit. It seems like quite a scary place to be sometimes, but is there a certain element that you can just get your head around and handle when there's sort of opportunities like that in a race? Is there any secret to it?
You have to be smart. You have to... Obviously, the elite guys have just insane pace. So if they're coming up behind you, it's trying to pick your moment to let them through. Obviously, you don't want to let them through, because we're racers at the end of the day. We don't want to let anyone through. But you have to be smart about it. They're only going to try and fight you, and that's only going to cost you more time in the long run. So I try and let the guys through, and then try and stick with them as well. Try and follow their lines, try and follow their braking points, and just try and keep myself ahead.
Well, it certainly worked out for you, Matt. Big points for your championship this evening. And obviously next time, we've finished our American tour now. We go to Hockenheim next time for more sprint races. Are you looking forward to that?
I do enjoy Hockenheim. It is a fun track. Again, it's quite similar to Canada with the width of the track. It's quite tight. So there's going to be some hard racing again. And unfortunately, the barriers are a little bit further away at Hockenheim than they are here. So yeah, hopefully carry on the good form and avoid some more accidents, and keep sticking at the head of the field.
Well, we wish you all the best for it, Matt. Well done again tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Definitely Ewan, he deserves that, and Joe Glass as well. That was good racing at the end there. He was keeping me honest, and he had me sweating a little bit.
It's always the best thing. And Ed and I always say, even if you finish like 35th in a race, as long as you've had a good race and decent people around you on track, it's the most rewarding thing. So it's great to hear that you've had a good one with those guys as well. Thanks very much for joining us, Matt. Well done again, and we will see you at Hockenheim. Have a good evening.
Catch you next week, guys.
Cheers. Well, Matt Barnett, like you said, it's about picking your battles, isn't it, Ed? Being in the right place at the right time at somewhere like this.
Yeah, it's about racing as much with your mind as it is with your arms and legs, trying to pick the right moments, like you say, to let some of the other cars through to help you out. And it was wonderful to hear that from him, that little a little aspect of the race that sometimes goes unnoticed.
Absolutely, and the man that's finished in second place in that second race there in his class is Russell Jakes, who pops into the box with us. Russell, welcome to the booth. You must be pretty happy to have come away with second in the Evo class after that one, because there was a lot going on, to say the least.
Yeah, my quali was horrific. I think I had 3 invalidated laps in qualifying, so
ouch.
It didn't help. So yeah, once quali was done, and I didn't expect much. But I just kind of focused on keeping lap times consistent around sort of high 36s, low 37s, and just try and keep out the wall.
I was going to say, keeping it out the wall is 90% of the battle at Montreal. People forget how narrow this place is, don't they?
Yeah, there's very little grip on that track as well. It's tough race. But yeah, good points off the back of it, so it keeps me, hopefully, I think it keeps me in first position in the championship, which is good. A couple of good run with Wesley Van Rens in the second race, and was right behind him in the first race as well, so it was good. Unfortunate incident with the RDSA guys in the second race.
Yeah, I was going to say, this when you lead the championship coming into a race meeting, does it have you looking in your rearview mirror a bit over the course of the race? Does it change your approach, or do you just keep it the same each week to just try and churn out as many points as you can? Just
trying to keep the points coming in, I think, is the big thing. Can only focus on what I'm doing. I can't really focus on what the other drivers are doing. I've just got to try and keep it clean and keep the points rolling in. But like, I had Tristan and Luke coming up behind me in race 2, and I'd let Luke go, and then I had Tristan right behind me, but I was sitting on Van Ren's gearbox, so I wasn't going to give up the position while losing time. And unfortunately, I think it's just culminated in a racing incident with us, and unfortunately the 2 RDSI guys fell foul of it. A bit frustrating, but it happens.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, Ed and I have mentioned that on the broadcast, that in even the top sort of leagues in the world with the best drivers in the world, incidents still happen. You know, it's competitive racing, and there's so many drivers at so many different skill levels in the series that there's always someone to race, which is what's great about it. But at the same time, you know, if you do get that bit of spread here and there, then you know there may be a bit of contact and so on. But that's part and parcel of the racing, I guess. But it's still great to see you guys getting involved, getting your elbows out, and having a good scrap here and there. We go to Hockenheim next time out, which is usually a good circuit for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to that one a lot more than I was looking forward to this one. That's for sure.
Well, I was going to say, it's been great to watch tonight, Russ. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
I think you've got to give a shout out to Rob Mackay tonight. He's had an unbelievable race tonight with P1 in both races. So, yeah, big shout out to him. Well done.
Nicely said. Well, great to speak to you, Russ. Thank you once again, mate, and we'll see you at Hockenheim. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
And there we go, Ed. Some of our podium finishers from the evening. What a busy, busy night in the championship that was. Some big, big changes. New race winners, multiple race winners. Great night all round, really.
Really, really good night of racing. No, there was never a dull moment in that race at all, neither the first or the second. So, I mean, Montreal really did deliver, didn't it, Chaz?
It absolutely did, and let's hope that Hockenheim can do the same next time. It's always a circuit that I've said is not the most exciting to hot lap on your own, but when it comes to racing at Hockenheim, goodness me, it is an absolute joy. So we will be there in a week's time. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors, Keenan Eco Energy, Medius, Kame and AB Designs. Thanks also to the organisers for having us on here at Chaz Draycott Media, and of course our beautiful viewers. Thanks also to you, Ed. It's always a pleasure to work alongside you. I've been Chaz Draycott here on Chaz Draycott Media for the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and we'll see you in a week at Hockenheim. Have a good night. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Gilles down the inside. Gilles moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower.
Brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off.
also involved in that. You're seeing it all the way from back there. They're on board with Ben Gregory now. I love this. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.